What if I told you a frozen river invented French fries? Or that a spilled barrel of oil created one of the world's most famous teas? In this video, 5 foods and drinks you eat all the time, and the accidents, mistakes, and desperate improvisations that created every single one of them. A prince chasing immortality who stumbled onto tofu. A bartender working around one woman's allergy. A theater trying not to go bankrupt during the Great Depression. 5 accidents. 5 things sitting in your kitchen right now.
During the worst economic collapse in American history, a 5-cent snack ended up saving an entire industry. Popcorn itself is ancient. Archaeologists have found popcorn evidence in Peru dating back thousands of years. And for indigenous peoples across the Americas, corn that could be heated until it burst open was already a known food, sometimes tied to ceremony, long before Europeans ever saw it. By the early 1900s, popcorn is a familiar street food in American cities, sold from steam-powered carts, the smell of hot oil and popping kernels drifting through crowded sidewalks. But there's one place popcorn is deliberately kept out: the movie theater. Early cinema owners see themselves as running something closer to a concert hall than a snack stand. Plush carpets, formal seating, an atmosphere they want to feel refined. Popcorn is loud, messy, and smells strong, everything they don't want inside. Then, in 1929, the stock market collapses. The Great Depression begins. Movie tickets are still cheap enough that people keep going. A few hours of escape they can still afford, even when almost nothing else fits the budget. Outside the theaters, street vendors with popcorn machines start setting up right at the entrance, right where the ticket line forms. For theater owners, this is a problem twice over. The smell pulls customers' attention before they even reach the box office, and the vendors are keeping every cent of a sale that's happening inches from the theater's own door. Some owners fight it, chasing vendors off, banning popcorn inside. Others do the math differently. Popcorn costs almost nothing to make. A bag sells for a nickel and still turns a serious profit. Profit a struggling theater badly needs when ticket revenue alone isn't enough to keep the lights on. One by one, theater chains stop fighting the smell and start owning it. They lease lobby space to popcorn vendors, then start installing their own machines, right there under the marquee. The ones that hold out the longest, the theaters that refuse to sell popcorn at all, are often the ones that don't survive the decade. By the end of the 1930s, popcorn isn't an outside nuisance anymore. It's built into the movie-going experience itself, sold at the counter, eaten in the dark, as much a part of the ritual as the film on the screen. What started as a workaround to keep a struggling business alive becomes one of the most reliable profit centers in the entire industry, to the point that, for decades afterward, many theaters make more money on the concession stand than they do on the movie itself. According to legend, one of the most important foods in Asian cuisine came from a nobleman who wasn't even trying to cook. The story goes back over 2,000 years, to Han Dynasty China, and a prince named Luan. Luan isn't known primarily as a cook. He's remembered as a scholar, a patron of philosophers, and, like a lot of wealthy, powerful men of his era, someone obsessed with alchemy, searching for substances that might grant longevity or even immortality. His household is full of experiments, minerals, elixirs, mixtures being tested for medicinal or mystical properties, alongside the more ordinary business of running a large estate. Soy milk, made by soaking and grinding soybeans, is already a known drink in the region. As the legend tells it, someone in Luan's household, possibly the prince himself, adds a mineral compound to a batch of soy milk, most likely a natural salt, while experimenting with ways to preserve it, flavor it, or extract something useful from it. Instead of staying liquid, the soy milk reacts almost instantly. Proteins in the milk clump together, separating from the watery liquid around them, curdling into a soft, pale, custard-like solid. Nobody set out to invent a food. This is a byproduct of an entirely different kind of experiment, the same way plenty of ancient discoveries happen, as a side effect of someone looking for something else. But somebody tastes it, and instead of discarding it as a failed batch, they recognize it for what it actually is, something mild, protein-rich, and remarkably easy to flavor however you want. Historians can't verify this story happened exactly the way it's told. Like most origin legends, it was written down generations after the fact, and the details vary between versions. But what's well documented is that soft bean curd, what we now call tofu, was firmly established in Chinese cuisine within a few centuries of Luoyang's era and had already spread to Japan and Korea by the medieval period. In a region where meat was often expensive or, for many Buddhist communities, avoided entirely for religious reasons, tofu becomes something close to essential, a protein source that requires no animal at all, made from little more than beans, water, and one curdling agent. Whether or not it truly started with one prince's mineral experiment gone sideways, tofu is now eaten by more people, more regularly, than almost any other soy product in the world. One of the most ordered cocktails on the planet may have started as a workaround for a woman who was allergic to almost every drink on the menu. Like a lot of cocktail origin stories, the Margarita doesn't have one confirmed inventor. It has several competing legends, told in different Mexican bars, each claiming to be the real one. This is one of the most repeated versions. Late 1930s, Rancho La Gloria, a bar just outside Tijuana, Mexico. The bartender is a man named Carlos Herrera. A customer comes in some tellings, a showgirl or actress, with a very specific problem. She can drink tequila without any issue. Almost every other spirit gives her a reaction. That rules out most of the standard cocktail playbook. No whiskey base, no rum, no gin, just tequila and whatever can be built around it. Herrera starts improvising. Tequila is sharp and assertive on its own. It needs something to round it out, something acidic to cut through the intensity without masking it. He reaches for lime, fresh squeezed, sharp, and bright enough to stand up to the tequila instead of disappearing next to it. Then salt, not stirred in, but rimmed around the edge of the glass, so each sip carries a little of it without overwhelming the drink itself. The combination isn't complicated. Tequila, lime, a hint of orange liqueur to smooth the transition between the two, and that ring of salt framing the whole thing. He serves it to her. And whatever this drink was supposed to be, a temporary fix for a woman with a narrow set of options, it works far better than a workaround has any right to. Word travels. Other bartenders across the region start making their own versions, adjusting the ratios, arguing about proportions the same way people still do today. By the 1940s, the Margarita starts showing up printed on drink menus well beyond the original bar, and by the 1950s and 60s, it's spreading into the United States as tequila itself becomes more widely available north of the border. Nobody can say with total certainty that this exact version, one customer, one allergy, one improvising bartender, is the true origin. Several other Mexican bartenders and socialites have made their own claims over the decades, each with their own timeline and their own witnesses. But in nearly every version of the story, the shape stays the same. Someone working around a limitation, reaching for the simplest ingredients on the shelf, and accidentally landing on a balance of sour, salt, and spirit that turned out to be almost impossible to improve on. According to legend, one of the world's most popular foods exists because a river froze over and a village didn't want to change its dinner. The story is set in the Meuse Valley, along the river that runs through what's now Belgium and northern France, sometime in the late 1600s. Villages along the river rely heavily on fishing. Small fish, in particular, caught daily, cleaned, and fried whole in hot oil, a staple meal repeated so often it barely counts as a choice anymore. It's just what dinner is. Then winter comes hard. The river freezes solid enough that boats can't move and nets can't drop. For weeks, maybe longer, the usual catch simply isn't available. No fresh fish means no fried fish, and for a village built around that one meal, that's a real problem. As the story goes, the villagers look for something, anything, that could stand in for what they're used to eating, something that could still be cut into small pieces and fried the same way, in the same oil, served the same way at the same table. Potatoes are already a household staple by this point, cheap and available even in winter, stored through the cold months in cellars. Someone gets the idea to slice potatoes into small strips, roughly the size and shape of the little fish that usually would have been on the plate, and drop them into the same hot oil. The texture is completely different from fish, obviously, but the format is familiar enough, and fried in oil, seasoned the same way, it becomes an acceptable stand-in for a meal the village doesn't want to give up just because the river won't cooperate. It works well enough that it doesn't disappear once the ice melts and the fish come back. People keep making it, not as an emergency substitute anymore, but as its own dish. Historians are honest that this exact version, one frozen winter, one specific village, fish-shaped potato strips as a deliberate substitute, can't be fully verified. Like most food legends passed down for centuries, it was recorded well after the fact, and the details shift depending on who's telling it. What is well documented is that frying sliced potatoes becomes a defined, popular dish across the Belgian and northern French region long before it appears almost anywhere else in Europe, centuries before it becomes associated, confusingly, with an entirely different country's name. Whether it truly began with a frozen river and a village that refused to change its dinner, the dish that came out of that region is now eaten, in one form or another, in nearly every country on Earth. One of the most recognizable teas in the world may exist because of an accident nobody wanted, a spilled barrel that should have ruined an entire shipment. Like several classic origin stories, this one comes with a warning up front. There's no single confirmed version. Tea historians, and the tea companies that sell Earl Grey today, tell at least 3 or 4 different accounts. This is one of the most repeated ones. The setting is a merchant ship, sometime in the early 1800s, carrying crates of tea leaves across long ocean trade routes from China back to Britain. Also on board, stored somewhere in the same hold, barrels of bergamot oil, a fragrant citrus extract pressed from a bitter orange grown mostly in southern Italy, already used at the time in perfumes and flavorings. Rough seas, or simple bad luck with the cargo lashing, and one of the bergamot barrels tips over. Oil floods across the hold and soaks directly into sacks of tea leaves stored nearby, leaves that were never meant to touch it. By the time the ship reaches port, the tea doesn't smell like tea anymore. It smells like bergamot, sharp, citrus, faintly floral, completely different from the plain black tea that left China weeks earlier. By any normal standard, this cargo is ruined. Contaminated tea isn't sellable tea, or at least, it shouldn't be. But instead of writing off the loss, the merchant in charge makes a different call. Rather than dump it, sell it as something new. Not spoiled tea, scented tea, deliberately, as if the bergamot had always been the plan. Buyers who try it don't experience it as a mistake. The citrus oil cuts through the tannic bitterness of the black tea underneath it, leaving something smoother and more aromatic than the plain version ever was. Word spreads that this is a distinctive, almost luxurious variation, worth paying more for, not less. The name Earl Grey gets attached to it later, tied, in yet another disputed legend, to Charles Grey, the second Earl Grey and a British Prime Minister in the 1830s, who supposedly received a similar bergamot-scented blend as a diplomatic gift and started serving it at his estate. Whether the spill and the Prime Minister's gift are even part of the same true story or two separate legends that got merged together over time, nobody can say for certain today. What is certain is that bergamot-scented black tea sold for over a century under the Earl Grey name. became one of the defining flavors of British tea culture, built, if the story holds any truth at all, on cargo that was supposed to be thrown away.
Thanks for watching.